Horses and cattle define the spirit of the West. Anyone looking to connect with top-tier, proven horses, the kind that embody that Western legacy, needs to know about Dennis Raucher and HeritageLivestock.com. Heritage Livestock is a family-run operation led by Dennis, who is a third-generation horseman. Dennis specializes in organizing well-respected horse auctions, and Heritage is all about finding and selling quality horses for every discipline. It doesn't matter if you're looking for a ranch working horse, a trail companion, a barrel racer, a polo pony, or a trusty mount for your guest ranch. Dennis and his family operation have built a reputation for bringing together serious buyers and quality animals and ensuring the legacy of the handmade horse continues to thrive across the country. Give a listen to what longtime Dude Ranch Association member Dennis has to say as he keeps the Western tradition alive, one great horse at a time. Saddle up! Welcome back to the Cowboy Up Podcast. If you've got a little West in your soul, then you've found the right place. We saddle up each week and we talk about everything under the western sky, from dust devils dancing on the desert plains to the grit and grace of the folks who call this rugged land home. So pull up a chair, grab a beverage, and let's dive into the stories and happenings that make the West the one-of-a-kind place that it is. Your host, Russell True, is right here, and I am Stephen Clausen, and we're brought to you by the White Stallion Ranch and Cowboy Spirit Radio Productions. So, how are you doing today, Russell?
Good. It's summer, but summer, like most things, has two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
It's a little warmer, but we get caught up a little more and fall a little less behind. And maybe that's a more accurate description, but we always look forward to it.
Everybody I've talked to today, just not one person has mentioned the heat. They just mentioned how glorious the ranch is, how good lunch was. So, I mean, really, that's a big takeaway right there. They're just happy.
You never know. We had a horse caught under the fence this morning. We got the call at 4:45 from our herd manager, and she couldn't fix it alone. And so we scampered down there 4:45, and we said, this is kind of it's not the best reason to be up as the sun rises, but it was so perfect out that did take 6 of us to get the poor horse out of. So we had to wait until some more people got up. But anyway, that's Dude Ranching, and today we have Dennis Raucher with Heritage Livestock, and he's our guest today.
I'll bet that he's had something like that happen at least once or twice. How are you doing, Dennis?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. It's just as hot here as Arizona, but it's green at least. And the wind's blowing, and yeah, the horses are uncomfortable in the heat of the day, but the mornings it is glorious. You're right.
And what kind of humidity do you get? You get humidity there, right?
Oh, about like Africa, yeah.
Because we don't.
I don't know the percentage-wise, but it's just humid as heck. We've had months of rain, and the creeks are full, the ponds are full, but in the heat of the day, it is so humid, and there's a dew on every morning.
Yeah.
About August, it'll dry down around here.
We're the opposite. With green, I guess, as you said, comes humidity, and with less green, less humidity. Our average in June is around 10 to 14%, and is roughly none, really.
I'm thinking yours is higher than that.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy you're here, Dennis. And one of the things that I loved about your bio and talking to you is you buy, sell, and most importantly, you train horses, and sometimes you train riders, and you match the proper rider with the proper horse. Is that a fairly good bio?
It is. That's the sense of it. The most important thing we do is we buy them, learn what they are, improve them as much as we can, and sell them to people that are counting on us for them. We don't sell horses often to individuals or the typical horse shopper on the computer. We mostly sell horses to commercial accounts that absolutely need them for their use, for their living. I enjoy that more so than offering horses and then having to train the rider, to fit the horse. On occasion, we help riders quite a bit to catch up to the horse they're choosing.
Yeah.
But I prefer not to teach the riders. I prefer to sell them to people that appreciate the horse more than a trinket or a toy or a jet ski or something, you know.
Yeah, that's an incredibly unique skill. How do you go about developing that?
I had no choice. My father and grandfather were horsemen. This business of ours, my wife enjoyed carrying students to horse shows and giving lessons and doing things here, but I'm more into finding them, hunting them down all over the country, getting them home, giving them all a chance to be good, riding them quite a bit, improving them all we can, and putting them off to knowledgeable horse people and people like Russell that need them every day. They're counting on them. They can put people on them and turn their backs and walk away. It's much more difficult than I'm making it sound, but it's all I know to do, I guess. Being a horseman.
Well,
cattle and horses is all I know.
Well, when we're talking to our wranglers or when I do some wrangler trainings around, one of the things I say is it really comes down to the horse and the system. And the system can be a lot of things. It needs to be consistent, and that's important for everybody, the horse, the staff, and the guests. But, you can't overcome a bad horse, and you're really lucky when you get a good one. But I read one of your mottos, and I'd never heard it said, and it's really, I don't use this word much. It's sort of profound, but it's really accurate. Let's say that. And it says a horse cannot stay better than the rider on its back for very long. And,
no, of course not.
And it's just, it's one of those sayings where you go, yeah, that sums it up right there. Maybe explain to people listening how you see that. Put a little color in there.
According to history, I mean, the horse is a beast of burden. The horse needs a master. A master has to be fair and somewhat skilled, and if not skilled, they need to be honest. A horse can't stand toil for very long. Can't stand, very little abuse. The kind of horses I like won't put up with about 5 seconds of abuse. They'll throw you on the ground. But the horses that go to work, your wranglers, yourself, you need to think like a horse. A horse wants to move. God made him to move, walk, trot, canter. It's hard to inhibit the horse from moving and teach riding at the same time. People that come to ride, all they picture themselves is galloping down the beach or across the desert or whatever, and it's very difficult to find a horse that can stand for it if the wranglers and the owners and the trainers aren't doing their thing, giving their horse proper work, proper tech, the proper appropriate sized rider, a rider that actually cares about being gentle and honest to the horse and demands the horse's attention at the same time. You can't just get on the horse, hold the horn, and go for a horsey ride for very long. The horse is going to go back to the barn, in my opinion.
Well, it seems like an incredible amount of common sense when you think about it, but you've got to actually think about it for a minute to say, yeah, that's very accurate. And I think that's kind of a little bit of what you do, isn't it, Russell? When you've got to come in, you've got to match horses with riders when they first get here.
Well, that's the one job I've retained at the corral on a regular basis. With Laura running the corral most of the time, I did it for a long, long time. 30-something years. And she's done it for quite a few since, but I still sit down. Last night I did it, and I do it every night except Saturday because we don't ride on Sunday. But at the beginning of the week is when we put together the whole list and try and put the pieces together correctly. And it's height, weight, experience level, gender. Gender not being, it's sometimes irrelevant. Most of the time it's irrelevant, but sometimes we find that certain horses like women or men better, and so
absolutely,
yeah. And so it's a bit of experience-based art, but I still do it every single day I'm here, unless I'm somewhere else.
You both just agreed with something, that some horses like men and some horses like women. That's interesting.
Yeah.
To me, that's a big takeaway. I can't imagine why there'd be a difference, but evidently there is.
Oh, it is. It is. When you get to know your horses, well, Russell's probably like me, put people on the horses, and some horses, I've seen horses just absolutely Jekyll and Hyde you. They just don't like that man on their back or something. Right. And then you see horses like, oh my gosh, this horse is green. This horse probably going to run off or do something terrible, but a nice woman gets on. There's another saying that every horse once in his life deserves to belong to a little girl. It makes you tear up. It's true. Some of those horses that, let's not say abused or whatever, but they just have bad experiences with men or big men or men in cowboy hats, this or that, and they just melt when you put a woman or a child around them. It's pretty. Horses are very emotional, complex animals, and then making them work every day, you really need to be a horseman. You need to know what that horse is thinking when he is and when he's not thinking.
Well, I know Russell's got a young daughter, and whenever I see her on her horse, it seems to me, and this could just be my inexperienced eyes looking, but it seems to me like her horse takes pretty good care of her.
Well, she really hadn't had a horse until very recently. She rode the herd, as we like to say.
Did she really?
And she'd say, well, I want to ride so-and-so today. And we'd say, well, little Mary's riding that horse today, but you can ride this horse. But to Dennis's point, my wife has had a horse 17 years that she's roped and run barrels on, and the horse is now 27, and so that is now Reagan's horse, and Lobo, and so she's running at 7. She's running, so to speak, barrels on good old 27-year-old Lobo, who's still got a fair amount of go, but per your saying, every horse should have a little girl own him, and I think Lobo's liking it. She weighs about 39 pounds, and they don't go nearly so fast. So I think I like your saying.
If you put me on Lobo, I probably wouldn't be very happy.
I don't know about in your situation, but we're growing up with my dad, and we're in the horse sales business. We had horse auctions, and he also put on horse shows. And my mom taught riding day in and day out. And I had 3 older brothers and myself and a younger sister. We didn't keep the ones we wanted. We had to keep the ones we couldn't sell right away.
Right.
So when you could take a straight, I don't want to say outlaw, but just an absolute unsellable son of a gun, and within a matter of months, every one of your clients wants him when you wouldn't dare show him to them the week you got him. And that's what we do in our Russell's business, my business, whatever. They get good if you give them a chance. If one is not good, and a guy like Russell can tell this horse is evil, there's other places for them. But we can really make innocent horses into great horses even if they know nothing.
Interesting. And you lease horses as well.
Lease and sell. I'm kind of morphing into the leasing because they got so expensive the past 5 years that a lot of my favorite people, they just don't have the money in the spring for such expensive horses. Nor do I, but I got a good banker. And if I can lease them, they're welcome to buy them at the end of the season if they love them, or they're not, give them back. Maybe I can winter them, and maybe they can have them back in the next spring, but probably not. I'll probably have to sell them to pay bills.
And what for trail horses for our business, what's kind of what is the range that most of your horses are going to sell within? From
when they're leaving me, going to some people, and I can name names, but you know them all, Russell. I've been putting horses up in the Rockies there for 15 years.
Well, you can
now.
name them if they're happy with it. We're friends of all dude ranchers. If you can do this business and keep going, you're my hero.
Well, I don't like my good friend Randy George.
One of my favorite people one of the best dude ranchers in the business.
And one of the nicest people in the world.
Absolutely.
His daughter, she'll buy a wild horse off me if she likes something about it. And she may not make it into service for a year and a half or so.
Oh, yeah.
And they can buy horses that are harder to sell for me, and I certainly give them a bargain on them. There's other places we could name that demand the nicest horses that grow, and they're willing to pay for them. I've sold horses this last spring anywhere from $3,500 to $20,000 that are going to work, not luxury horses going to work.
Right. And what was the bottom number?
Norm,
I missed the bottom number.
3,500.
35 to 20.
35 to 20,000. 3,500 is usually a colt.
Okay.
You know, and you know what they've been bringing and stuff, and like you, I'm sure had them for decades. The Mexico horses. Well, now it's $2,200 a horse to cross them in the border. $2,200 a horse. I mean, just to cross them.
Is that the fee? $2,200.
That's the fee. Now I'm starving for them. I love Mexico horses, and I can't get them. Plus, they closed the border for the screwworms here last month. But it's $2,200. Mostly corruption and fees for vets, messing with them. But you want to get a little $1,500 horse from Mexico? Well, he costs $2,200 just to enter. Never mind what the Mexico man needs for him and what it costs to get him home and bring him back to life.
So you'll appreciate this. It's a true story. I tell it at our rodeo. We have a horse here called Cartel, and somebody we know called us from the border. We have a ranch down at the border, on the border, literally on the border.
Is there any fence through there?
What's that?
Trump don't have a wall there. Can we get some horses through there?
Oh, he does have a wall. But the story gets a little better. So they called up and told my wife, I'm going to buy this horse in Mexico. And there's another one looks real nice. You might want to buy it. And, of course, she sends her a video. And Laura says, yeah, I'd be interested. But I understand it's kind of pricey to cross those horses now. And I didn't know it was $2,250. At last I heard it was $750, so it's really gone up.
Oh, that's been a while.
Yeah, no, apparently I'm way out of the loop. So anyway, Laura said, well, what's it cost? And she goes, oh, well, we're not bringing it across legally. We're going to smuggle it in. and so Laura says, well, I really can't play that game, but thanks.
Yeah.
She goes, well, I'm smuggling one. I'll smuggle two, and then I'll just sell it to you when I get it across. And so Laura said, well, if you do that and you're successful, call me. Well, she said, I did forget to tell you the Cartel does have a $200 per horse fee. So now we know they're $2,000 cheaper than the U.S. government. Because they really do. That's what they charge. The Cartel charges you $200 per horse.
Well, that's what I don't know what's on the Chihuahua side. What they have to pay, they'll get stopped on the road. Hey, give me $500, you can keep going.
Yeah.
And my dad bought, before it was so terrible, you could buy good Mexican horses. When I was a kid, pot loads of them, $350, $500. And we all used them for years and years, but they're all gone now because same in Mexico, the boys and girls don't ride horses anymore. They play video games. And that's what's got me in a bind.
That's a shame, especially down there. I thought they knew better. But we got to take a break, so we'll be right back.
I love these stories. At White Stallion Ranch, we use Golden Wings horseshoes because they work so well for the horses, and they have the most revolutionary horseshoe design in over 2,000 years. The reason Golden Wings horseshoes work so well is found in their very simple and clear mission statement. Their mission is to provide for and preserve the integrity of the entire structure of the horse from the hoof to the spine with new, innovative, lightweight, flexible horseshoes that provide traction without slipping and sole protection while preventing unnecessary leverage with proper angles. Guidelines for trimming, measuring, and fitting that allow the hoof to work as it was designed to do are part of this mission. Golden Wings horseshoes are problem solvers for farriers and horse owners. GoldenWingsHorseshoes.com. That's GoldenWingsHorseshoes.com. We use them because they work. You know, Dennis, I first learned about you and what you do from an email that came from the Dude Ranchers Association. And I think you were at the annual meeting back in Phoenix in January, which is where Russell was at that meeting, and so was I. But you've got a line of saddles that you're doing, and they are just gorgeous. You want to talk about those?
Well, yeah, a lot of the people that get horses off me, I don't rent the horses with tack because that's really big liability concern, but I do offer at almost a wholesale some really good quality saddles I prefer on our horses and good pads. And my son's got several different people making them bridles and breast collars and reins and things. And I like to send the right tack along with our horses so everybody's comfortable and it's good quality and safe. These saddles are dandy, all different sizes, and they'll fit a horse good, and the leather's soft, and really authentic Old West looking saddles. A lot of them, and they've been a big hit with the Dude Ranchers because they're 40 pounds, 45 pounds maximum, and they're built real well, and it's been a big seller, and the horses sure don't mind them.
And those saddles are made in Mexico, I think.
Mexico, yeah. Yep, the craftsmanship's good. A lot of your saddles in America, these saddles will have no brand name on them because a lot of the stuff we sell in America is made down there. And then each retailer will put their own stamps on them and give them their own warranty and all with them. Their quality control is really nice.
Well, we use exclusively, and they look a lot like those that you have, Corriente saddles, and they're all made in Mexico. And you know, my dad always bought Mexican saddles. We're close, so why wouldn't you? And the issue was the leather. You know, 40, 50, 60 years ago, that was a short-term solution because the way they tan leather. But their leather's as good as anybody else's. Sometimes it isn't quite as aesthetically perfect, and sometimes it is. It just depends on what people are wanting to spend, right?
A lot of it, a lot of it's American leather. You know, there's a lot of the hides are shipped down there because the manufacturing's down there. All the boots we wear are made in Mexico. All the belts, a lot of it's American cattle. You know, the hides because there's no manufacturing left in the U.S., so they ship the hides to Mexico.
Right, exactly. And so I read that is this right? You were from Massachusetts and then moved to Missouri?
Born in New York, raised in Massachusetts, and my dad passed in 2002. Hung around with my brothers in our horse business for a while longer, and I promised my dad when he was in a wheelchair, and he said, "Promise me you don't get in my condition wishing you'd done something different or tried something different." And he said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to go live in the Midwest." He said, "Well, go. Worst you could be is wrong. Come back." So I did what he told me and raised my kids out here, and I really benefited. My family really benefited. And I'm in the center of the nation. I send horses to Maine as often as I do Colorado or Texas or Arizona, you know.
And when you send the horses up there, do you ever have the opportunity or desire to go back to Massachusetts, even for a visit?
A lot more opportunity than desire.
Okay. I could. Now, I had the privilege of talking to your wife, Mary Ellen, on the phone. She's a nice lady, and I'm going to suggest you married up.
You're correct.
And
I met her. She went to Smith College, Ivy League school, the next town over from where I grew up, and she came over to ride at my dad's place because the horses over there were just a bunch of old antiques. You know, riding was just an activity over there. It wasn't quality riding. And she came over and rode horses at our place. And like I said, she went to Ivy League school, and me, it took 3 high schools to get a diploma. That's where I stopped. My mother offered me to go to horseshoeing school. She said there was no threat of me going to college. She'll pay for shoeing school or auctioneer school. And I said, auctioneer school, Mom.
So that's something you do your own auctioneering then? Because you do some auctions, don't you?
Yeah, we have 6 horse auctions a year. Actually, our sale in Parsons, Kansas is really on the map. Like, not contending because we're good friends. Not as many horses as Billings, but as many horses per sale and high quality horses as most of the sales in the United States. And last sale, Russell, we had Hunter Sullivan was there. Randy George was there. He never leaves Kremlin, Colorado.
I know. I've been trying to get him to come down here for years.
Lucas, I can't remember his last name right now. The big
Turner.
tall boy from Wyoming.
Turner.
Yeah, he was there. I don't know who's keeping an eye on their dude ranches out there, but I think there was 6 or 7 DRA members plus all kinds of other people that needed using horses.
And what time of year?
Sir?
What time of year was that?
Oh, that was in our April sale.
Oh, okay.
And I sold 50 dude horses in a row, big heavy-footed, feather-legged horses in a row. Our next one's in August. There won't be so many horses. Be a lot more young horses. And then the third one will be in November in Parsons, Kansas, and we'll have gobs of horses. We'll have 350 to 400.
Well, they can go in April because their ranches are closed. See,
that's why.
They're smarter than me. We run year round. So where's the sale in August?
Parsons, Kansas.
Oh, they're
Kansas,
all in Parsons.
Only 90 miles from us.
Okay.
We also have one. We have a kind of an elite horse sale we do here at home. We did last Saturday. We had 53 horses, real high line horses. They didn't bring the most gigantic prices, but they're very good horses. It's a fun sale we do once a year at home, and then we do one once a year at an indoor arena, big Western store and bar. It's called Lucky J Arena. It's a real famous place near us. We do that one in February because it's all indoors there. So.
And at these Parsons sales, you said August is going to have more colts, fewer horses. What's going to be a cheap horse, and what's going to top the sale?
Oh, we'll top around 15,000 for a talented young gelding or mare, ranchy kind, modern bred, coming from the right hands. There's a lot of young people, and it's very flattering to me that really are making their living, besides ranching, making high quality horses for my daughter to promote and me to sell in our auction. It's really everything I want it to be, except we don't get those $40,000, $50,000 price tags they get in Wickenburg and Cody and all around. But it's Kansas. It's not a vacation paradise.
Right. Yeah, I can't wrap my head around some of those Cody prices. I mean, it just boggles my mind. I get it. I don't get it. But I mean, the part I understand is there's some really good horses that can do some nice stuff, but those prices, and expensive horses die just as easily as cheap ones.
Yeah. A young lady I know sold one Wickenburg last spring, $250,000. She just sold one in Sheridan at the same company's horse auction, $280,000. Over $250,000 for a saddle horse.
Man, it better cook and clean. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well,
I admit it. I admit a racehorse should bring those prices. A cutting horse, a jumping horse, you can go and win that again. But just a horse to ride around your yard? I don't get it.
I'm saying I don't get it. There is actually nothing about that.
As I've read some of these articles about Taylor to Sheridan, some of these horses on this, what was it, Yellowstone. I keep wanting to say Yosemite, and I know it wasn't Yosemite.
Yeah,
some of those horses on there were $1 million or more.
Well,
it could be the competition horses,
Yeah,
the ranch horses he's buying are $30,000 too.
Yeah, he's riding. I mean, some of those are reining and cutting horses. I mean, that's
they earn that back if they win.
Yeah, as Dennis said, there's at least an opportunity to get some of it back.
Yeah.
So, people that would like to go see a great horse sale in Kansas, do they go to heritagelivestock.com to get that schedule and the location and
Heritage Livestock Facebook?
Okay.
Our next one, our soonest sale coming up is August 8th and 9th in Parsons, Kansas. And I say that's more of a young horse sale, but it really is. A lot of these cowboys have got their horses knocked out tired. They want to buy a youngster. Some people need to ride them till fall, till they're really at their potential to sell them. We just enjoy the summer sale for a lot of young horses, brood mares, and there'll be plenty of saddle horses, more than you see at most sales.
Right.
But
And if someone's coming in from out of state or something, where would they fly in to go to this?
There's a regional airport in Joplin, Missouri, Springfield, Missouri, and also Kansas City, which is not the closest, but it's usually the least expensive to fly in and rent a car.
Right.
And then we transport for everybody. My gosh, usually the week after the sale, you'll find me in Colorado and Wyoming and everywhere dropping off people's horses. It's actually a great system. I just need a couple more of me and 2 more of my wife. And, I don't trust people to haul horses for me.
All of us in small business, we need that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that I appreciated on your website is you put down you've got horses and ponies all over the country working on maybe a ranch in Colorado, a ponying horse in Saratoga, fox hunting in Florida, or playing polo in Aiken, or working a lesson program. You've got all those different types of horses that are trained in those different disciplines.
Absolutely, because I grew up in every discipline, actually. I mean, I rode jumpers when I was a little kid, learned to rope when I was a teenager, and enjoy roping now. I mean, but the roping's a very tough click. I mean, we sell rope horses. We have a roping preview, but there's more of them just talking about it than there is buying them. My clients are people like Mr. True that must have honest horses that can go to work. It's more of my forte. We got to have it all, but
Well, you'll have to, if you ever delivering horses in Arizona, you have to come rope with us.
Is that at Flying? Which place?
At White Stallion. We put on. My brother was PRCA. Well, he is PRCA, but he bulldog and team roped for years and years, and we team rope, and his wife's a breakaway roper and barrel racer, and we do that with our guests invited to watch every Wednesday, and we have some friends, and I generally end up narrating the rodeo. I still like to team rope once in a while, but my horse is getting older, so I'm going to have to either get another horse or figure something out.
I figure he's going to get another horse because he ain't quitting.
So. I do go. A friend of mine in North Scottsdale puts me and my wife up and my horses, and I've roped at most of those places down there the past 2 winters ago, and then I did not get to go this past winter because we had that auction that in February, but I usually go in February and go to most of those places, Dynamite Arena and Flying E and all Roper Nation. I just go to them all and enter the old guy ropers.
Yeah. Well, and Wickenburg is just really pushing team roping hard, so it's they're trying to really make it a big stop. And lots of folks from the Upper Rocky Mountains, and I don't know if the Canadians will keep coming. I guess there's some of them are mad at us, but
yeah,
they sure did flock down here.
And my wife, our indoor arena barn is pretty fancy. I don't even go in there, but my wife quit boarding horses a while ago when our kids all got big and they didn't go to shows anymore. And boarders, well, you're in the hospitality business, but I'm not. I don't like boarders. It's a horse hotel. People pull in. We live right on the interstate. We have a half-mile at interstate frontage on I-44, and it's a horse motel, and the nicest people in the world stop in here with their living quarters and plug in, put their horses up, and some people stay 2 nights. Lots of people from the East Coast, though, are coming to Wickenburg to rope, and 2,500-mile trek for that destination.
Wow.
To stay around Morristown, Wickenburg, out in there, and Cave Creek. A lot of them stay here with us on their way out.
Well, I think people are. I'm surprised. As a Tucsonan who sort of looks sideways at Phoenix, it is 5th biggest city in the country now, but it is still a very horsey place, and there's great vets, and there's some really good breeding programs, but they've still got people roping, and at the other end of the spectrum there's horse racing and Arabians, and so Phoenix is still a very horsey place. And then you can go out a little ways and get small town, in my opinion, really nice small town Wickenburg. and get all that team roping. So there's, it's not gone away. It's maybe moved around a little, but it's still here.
Well, they come out of Wisconsin and Minnesota and stuff, stay here.
Absolutely.
And then he's on out there to go ride their gated horses on the desert.
Yeah, I haven't done much of that. A little bit here and there. But gated horses, not too many of them out here. Well, we just appreciate talking to you. And again, heritagelivestock.com, Dennis Raucher, wife Mary Ellen, and
his entire family's involved in this business. I mean, you go on the website, the pictures are fantastic, and you can see him and his wife and his kids. It's just really, it's a nice thing to look at.
Well, thank you for saying that.
And you're self-described, I think, third generation, and your dad said, go do it before you can. So that's, I'm in the business because my dad woke up to one too many blizzards, and that was it. It tipped him over, and he moved to Tucson, and I've been here ever since. So, Dennis Raucher, heritagelivestock.com.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Talking to Dennis, this is just someone who does what he does. He does it with his family, and he does it for the right reason. He's not trying to squeeze every dollar he can out of every horse. He just wants to take a quality animal and get it to the right place so everybody's happy. I just really respect that in this day and age. He's not a private equity guy that's trying to squeeze every dime out of everything. And like I said, he's just doing it for the right reasons, and he wants to be sure that animal goes to the right place and he cares for him.
Well, I think, it's a noble thing. I don't want his job. I think it's, I could tell stories of, 2 or 3 efforts to try and sell horses when somebody asked us, and unless they're asking for a specific horse and there's a certain set of circumstances, we just don't sell them. But it's interesting. The horse that we have right now that is asked, that we've had, I keep a file of them. I think we have 9 requests, serious requests. Please sell us this horse. Please sell me this horse. And he's a wonderful, absolutely spectacular dude horse. And he would be absolutely a nightmare if they took him home. They would have a hard time getting him shod. They would have a hard time with his ground manners in the back, or as they're trying to deal with him. He's really herd bound to another horse. So it's kind of his personality, and that's where our business really gives a horse that. And Laura bought him out of an auction. She brought him home. I thought, oh, wow. You were a good horse buyer up until today. And she brought 2 of them home, and they both, I thought, were just an absolute glaring, blatant mistake, which she doesn't make. But they both worked out really, really well. And it's the system, it's the consistency, it's what we do and how we do it. We, meaning dude ranches. And any good dude ranch makes good horses sometimes. Like the George family up there at Latigo, they can, if you're a hand, you can turn some horses that aren't necessarily good when you get them into some really great horses that make people happy.
Indeed, Russell, make people happy. That's what we do. Hopefully we do it well at the White Stallion Ranch and with the Cowboy Up podcast. Well, that's a wrap, folks, and thank you for being with us. What a wonderful time. More stories, more wonderful information, but even more than that, a real sense of inspiration about how we can all make good and do well in our world today, because that truly is the cowboy way. And of course, we come your way from the White Stallion Ranch and the True Ranch Connection. And right now, the White Stallion Ranch is in the summertime, but we still have room for you if you want to come and make it a cowboy summer adventure. It'll keep you warm, but it'll keep you very, very happy too. And perhaps if you'd like to go a little further north to northern climes, well, at thewhitestallion.com, we can probably connect you with some of our affiliate ranches up in the cooler climes. So here we go. whitestallion.com, whitestallion.com, and we'll find a place for you. This is the year 25, and we're going to learn how to thrive even in the midst of challenging times, and having a little cowboy outlook way of life just might be the thing for you, your family, maybe even for your business, where it's time not just to go to a fancy resort and play a little golf and do a little business. How about combining it with a new adventure that is not only good for you personally, but you'll find you'll learn the cowboy entrepreneur way of doing business too. We have programs that you will find very motivating and helpful if you want to do business the cowboy entrepreneur way. I'm Stan Houston for the What It Takes Radio Company and the sponsor and producer of this fine program. And if you need to find a way to do a little radio work yourself, just reach out to me at Stan, S-T-A-N, at witradio.net, witradio.net, because it's time. You have to get on the radio, and this is the year to do it. We'll tell you more about that in a later program, about how this is the way to connect with you and your audience. Hey, all the best and blessings to you. Walk tall, ride safe, tip your hat, and be good to one another. That's the cowboy way. Till next time, bye for now.